Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Offsides Podcast. We're back here in full effect, getting it done. Some topics we're going to repeat because now we got Pete on here and we could talk about it. We got a special guest today, somebody I met, happened to be a service member like us, a vet, and said, hey, if you ever need somebody to fill in, let me know. So, Derek, welcome to the podcast, man.
Appreciate you.
And Pete, how you doing, brother? Yeah, last week you was busy.
Yeah, I'm good. It's good to be busy. That means, you got a job. So all good. Back to normal. Everybody's back. I don't have to cover for nobody. So.
Okay, good. June, how you feeling, bro?
Hey, man, I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. I ain't go to work today, so I'm feeling even better. But hey, man, hey, Derek, welcome to the podcast. And Pete, man, it's good to have you back, man. I know we're missing James, his son, and they're playing jokes on him, but inside joke.
Good to see y'all, man. Good to see y'all.
So
good to be back.
I'm gonna go ahead and get to it, man. So look, CJ Stroud was on $1 million worth of game, and they asked him a question, I guess, between what career would he rather have between Eli and Aaron Rodgers, and CJ Stroud responded, "I want Eli's because he got the chips." So on Speak, this started a debate that went over the time limit because, on Speak you got Acho, Shady, Joy, and James Jones. And James Jones, he said it clearly. He said, in my eyes, Aaron Rodgers is the greatest quarterback of all time, the greatest thrower of the ball of all time, everything. So, Shady, of course, was like, hold up, you got to slow down. So I'm going to go around the room and I'm going to give you the free time to elaborate because I really want this discussion to go a certain kind of way. And I'm hoping that it can go the way that it went on this. We can have,
Go get it.
all right, have a good talking point. I mean, it might not, though, because I know how Pete feels. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to start with Pete, man. Let me go there. What's your take on that comment, bro? Like, what's your take on it?
Well, it depends on what you play for, because it's so. But to get back at the question, would you rather have Eli's or Aaron Rodgers' career? Now, I think I discussed this before. I said this before about Aaron Rodgers. Like, some of the best quarterbacks, talent-wise, I've seen has been Aaron Rodgers, Marino, Elway. You know what I mean? Just the way they handle themselves in the pocket, the arm strength, all that. Just quarterback play. Not talking about championships or nothing like that. So talent-wise, I agree. And James Jones, that's his guy. So he's always going to back up Aaron Rodgers. But Eli is like, and I know he doesn't have the best regular season record, best regular season stats, but in the playoffs, Eli beat the GOAT, coach, the GOAT QB twice. Prevented not him by himself, of course, the Giants, but he was the quarterback of those teams. Prevented the undefeated season. So if you play for chips, what Tom Brady always says, I don't play for Pro Bowls. I play for chips. If that's what you want to play for, then yeah, I would take Eli's career. Because again, is he a borderline Hall of Famer? Yeah, but why is he even in the discussion of the Hall of Fame? Because of those 2 Super Bowl wins. So Aaron Rodgers is just off his resume alone. He got MVPs, he has a Super Bowl championship, and he's got stats. And the talent-wise, he's up there. But if you're talking about chips, and not just a regular chip, not a Brad Johnson with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers championship or a Trent Dilfer with a Baltimore Ravens championship, you got some quality wins in the Super Bowl against Belichick and against Brady. And it's not a homer take, because, I'm a Giants fan, as you can see. But, and I like Aaron Rodgers. I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan, but I got to say, yeah, I agree with CJ Stroud, because he said, and he said it plain and simple, he got the chips.
So before I go to you, Derek, I'm gonna throw a twist in there. So when they said, Eli got the chips, so let's go with Eli. And that he brought up the 4 NFL MVPs, and they said those are individual awards, or those are regular seasons awards. Those are individual. That's not postseason. James Jones says, so that's like saying you're willing to take Trent Dilfer, Joe Flacco, and he named another quarterback with 1 ring. Nick Foles over Dan Marino. So
No, that's
he was
like, reaching.
So that's what they said. They were like, no. And he goes, nah, but are we talking chips? They got chips. He don't. So he's better. With that, Derek, what's your take on that? First off, what's your take on the career pass? And then what's your take on that statement there?
So career pass, I'm gonna piggyback off Pete. Career pass longevity, you gotta look at Aaron Rodgers. He's done all of it. Everything you can think about it, he's done it, right? But at the end of the day, when you're playing, you're not playing just to play. You're not playing for stats. You're not playing for awards. You're not playing for Pro Bowls, whatever, right? You're playing for.
No, I
you're
got my
playing,
Hold on. Let me get comfortable.
you're playing for Super Bowls.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, if you wanna compare who's got the better career and longevity of Super Bowl wise, you're gonna pick Eli Manning. Not only, like I'm gonna say, I was piggybacking off of Pete. He beat the GOAT.
Yeah.
Not once, twice, and he took his undefeated season away from him.
Yeah, I mean, you ain't going to argue for me.
And I was saying, it's like, but and you got to look at that team. The team that he beat, that team was so stacked, defense and offense. That man had Randy Moss. The man had so many weapons he could throw to and run to and do all kinds of stuff with. Like Brady had so much help, it wasn't even crazy. And for some reason, in some way, how Eli Manning was able, like Eli Manning and the Giants, the 9-5 or 9-7 Giants beat an 18-0 team.
Yeah. It was he arguably made 2 of the best throws in Super Bowl era. 2 of the best throws.
Absolutely. Now, I take nothing away from Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers is completely, like, if you want to compare stats wise and yards wise and everything that Aaron Rodgers does and what he used to be able to do, I look at it as he accomplished a lot. But at the end of the day, are you playing for stats and Pro Bowls and MVPs, or are you playing for a Super Bowl ring?
But it depends who you ask, right? Because I'm a championship guy. I could care less about all the stats. Something that Pete said earlier, that Brady said, I don't care about NFL MVPs. I care about Super Bowl trophies. I could give a damn about
exactly.
I care about this. Doesn't matter if I get all the way to the big game and don't win it. It doesn't matter if I can't even get to the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying?
Are you wanting your career to be off of your stats and what you did specifically, or do you want your name to be in a legacy like Tom Brady, who has 7 rings? Because if Tom Brady didn't have 7 rings, Tom Brady wouldn't be the GOAT, correct?
Nah, he wouldn't. I mean, you're right.
And just to go off of what you said about them bringing up Joe Flacco and Nick Foles because they got one chip. Well, Eli was the MVP in the Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah, both of them. He's actually 8 in the playoffs. He has an 8-4 record, where Aaron Rodgers is 11-10 in the playoffs. So, like, let's say if the Jets go to the playoffs this year and get bounced on the wild card or division round, like, let's say
he is literally even 11-11.
He's 500 across the board and he's pretty much a losing. Like, Peyton Manning was a great regular season quarterback. It's kind of where Aaron Rodgers is at. Regular season. Nikki and June, the question we proposed, right? Because you came in talking, that's why I muted you. Derek was given his. We polite over here on Offsides podcast. This ain't play call. So, CJ Stroud was asked a question about which career would he rather have, Eli or Aaron Rodgers,
and he said Eli.
Yeah, and some people took offense to that because. Eli's never been a Pro Bowler. He's never had an NFL MVP. I think the only thing he's ever led the league in was interceptions 3 different times. But Aaron Rodgers has all these accolades, but Eli got 2 rings. How do you feel about that?
Are you serious right now?
let me throw this in. Let me throw this in. I'll tell you like this. At the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers got carried the entire way he won that Super Bowl year because his defense carried him. He didn't have an amazing year. He had an NFL MVP candidate that year, but it wasn't nothing amazing. He was just right at 4,000 yards, and he was average at that point. So his defense carried him the entire way. The entire team with the Giants helped with each other. It was never just on Eli Manning. It was just never on the defense. It was just never on one person or one side of the ball. It had to be both sides to be able to beat the Patriots, not once, but twice.
Well, that 07 Super Bowl, that defense held it down because they kept that team to what was 14 points, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was 14-17. Yep, 14 points. And they were scoring, what, an average of 1,000 points a game? So, yeah, it was crazy. So, June, what's your take on it, man?
Oh, I'm top level?
Oh, no.
Could
you turn the camera the other way? I didn't know you wasn't going to answer it. So, go
First
ahead.
First of all, I'm a guest.
Yeah, she is. She is a guest on Offsides. She is a guest. She better
Introduce me.
Oh God, Jesus! Here we go. We have joining us. You want me to introduce you for real?
Yeah, motherfucker. I'm
a good friend of mine, my sister, Olayinka Akinyemi. You know what I'm saying?
He had to take it that far.
You didn't introduce.
Yeah, but he took it too far.
No, you wanted
Hey,
it.
y'all.
From the play call. She's on my other podcast. Go ahead, Nikki. What you got to say?
Okay, so anything I'm gonna say is real biased, right? I don't like Aaron. I don't like Aaron. It is what it is, right? So I think he the question 1,000% correct. I don't know. I just feel like Aaron comes off with this. I'm entitled, so. You just gonna have to do more. You're gonna have to show more for me to be like, oh, you know what? You're entitled for real, for real. So I don't know. I think he answered it great. I don't like Aaron. I'll repeat that again. So Pop Warner would be better than Aaron for me. Aaron. I'm like, yeah, little Billy. Not routine is better than Aaron. So I think he did well.
No.
See,
you agree. Just say you agree.
Yeah, think about it. Okay, well, I kind of agree with Nikki.
Start there.
Right? But you have to think about it. Like, I think C.J. Stroud, as a quarterback, I think the way that maybe he tailored his game was around other quarterbacks, so to speak. So now that Aaron's getting all this attention, he's MVPs, and he's the diva that he is, and that's just not C.J. Stroud's persona.
That's true too.
Versus Eli Manning. Eli Manning, he barely said a word here and there. And maybe that's the way that he flows, and at the same exact time, he's getting that success. So you don't have to be the diva, win all the MVPs to still win the Super Bowl rings. And maybe that's where he wanted to be. So I think it's an opinionated question when it came down to C.J. Stroud. So he can't be wrong. He can't be right.
Oh, no, that's a good point. You know what I'm saying? He's very humble. You know what I mean? Everything is, giving thanks to this and giving thanks to where Aaron, he's like, I am the thanks.
Well, I think with CJ's his football IQ, I think, is up there. And by listening different interviews that he does and when he talks about certain plays and stuff like that, you could tell he studies and he knows that he's into it. So I think his take's a little different. I mean, at the end of the day, listen, and me and Pete had this conversation when we first started about this podcast a while back. And I asked him a question about Hall of Fame careers or not. And, Joy Taylor was like, oh, they both going in the Hall of Fame. And Shady was like, you sure Eli's getting in? And for me, for Shady to say that, there's something as wishful thinking and there's something as you're not being realistic, right? And as much as I don't think it's borderline, like Pete said, what's going to get him over the hump besides him being a Manning is going to be the 2 Super Bowl wins. The 2 Super Bowl MVP.
Over the GOAT.
Yep, over the Tom Brady and the Patriots, Bill Belichick's defense. If you take that away, would he even be in the Hall of Fame? Probably not. No, probably not.
Absolutely not.
You know what I'm saying? But hey, it got to count for something. You know what I'm saying?
If Joe Namath is in the Hall of Fame off of one Super Bowl, then Eli's going to be in the Hall of Fame for 2 Super Bowls.
And that's what I was going to say, too. There's plenty of players. Like, you can look at so many players, like Terrell Davis. Mediocre stats. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
See,
But
I
for
think
that time and age, it was good. Nowadays, it's average.
Tebow got in because they let boy in first ballot, Randy Moss. But I think
But Randy Moss, like the only reason I think Randy Moss got in is because he is one of the best receivers of all time. He never won a chip. He never got a chip, but he proved. So I can see where like people are kind of because of the stats and this, that, other, because of the person. I also see that sometimes you got to know when to retire and call quits, because if you don't, you're going to ruin your career. And I think that's what Aaron Rodgers is starting to do. He's starting to ruin his stuff because he's not only looking dumb because he's out there for three whole seconds and he tears his ACL. You're looking at him like, bro, they just traded the whole lot for you and you got in for 3 freaking minutes to tear your ACL.
Mm-hmm.
At some point in time, you got to know when to call it quits. Manning knew when to call it quits. Brady knew when to call it quits. You got who was another really good, Brett Favre didn't know when to call it quits. And this is where I feel like everybody compares Aaron Rodgers so much to Brett Favre because everything Brett Favre did, Aaron Rodgers just following right in his footpath.
Yeah, I mean, they both went to the Jets after this thing. But I tell you what, with Brett Favre, with Favre, you know what I'm saying? He had, if it wasn't for that bounty gate, man, the Vikings probably would have won that NFC championship and went to the Super Bowl against Peyton Manning and the Colts that year. You know what I'm saying? I like to say that Favre kind of ended just like Montana did, losing in the conference championship game, and that was, that's where it was at. So with that, we're gonna move to the next topic, and this is where two of them gonna go together. We talked about this last week, but it came up again today, and I saw it, and I want to kind of go over it again. CMC McCaffrey gets paid. Ayuk hasn't got paid yet. So I'm going to start with June. What does that tell you that the 49ers? Oh yeah,
I got this one. Oh,
what does that tell you that CMC got paid and they haven't paid Ayuk yet?
Always trying to keep the black man there.
Man, let me tell you.
I'll tell you why in a minute.
I think it goes again. It's kind of crazy, right? Because now I'm gonna tie it in with the whole Aaron Rodgers. No, I'm not gonna tie it with the black man. Now I'm gonna tie it in with Aaron Rodgers and Eli Manning. CMC isn't vocal. He's out there doing his job, and maybe he knocked on the door and said, "Hey, can I just get this?" Now Ayuk has been creating this formulated strategy to get paid since the last game of the season. And I don't blame him. The guy's good. I'm not saying he's not good. But I think the strategy that CMC played versus getting paid and the strategy that Ayuk's played to getting paid has been a whole night and day. One is vocal, the other one isn't. I mean, shit. Honestly, I didn't even know that CMC was up for an extension. I thought he just got paid. So it sucks, Hey, Ayuk, man, hey, time to go somewhere else, my guy.
Go ahead, Derek.
So on that note, I'm gonna look at it like this: who's more valuable? Who does more for the team? Who basically, when everything went to crap, was the only one that could get stuff done, was playing quarterback and running back and receiver? Okay. Well, I'm gonna pay the guy who does. I'm gonna pay the guy who does everything, and that I know I can depend on. I have another receiver that can do everything that Ayuk does, and then more.
Because they paid Jennings, they paid Juwan Jennings. They did pay Jennings.
They paid Jennings. They got Samuel for the next 3 years. Ayuk's the only one that they ain't paid, but I got Samuel, and he does just the same thing you do and more. He can be a receiver, running back, a slot, whatever. He can play pretty much anywhere on the field, and I got to worry about him wherever he goes. Same with CMC. If I got to worry about CMC, Jennings, Samuel, plus you got Brock Purdy who can run if he needs to. He ain't the fastest thing in the world, but that man can do what he needs to get yards.
He did get some first downs by himself last year. He did.
All I'm saying is, like, I look at it as like they did the right thing, because I'm going to pay the player who's going to be there and be able to do everything I need him to do, and not, pardon my French, bitch about money.
What's up, Nikki? What?
Okay, let's talk about that real quick, right? It's easy to say that when you have all that real estate on the field with you. Okay, what's the call it? He was great with the Panthers, but with Carolina, but every time he was hurt because they put so much on him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? McCaffrey was good.
Touche. But what kind of line? What kind of line did he have in Carolina? Oh wait. Now put him over in the Niners. You put him over in the Niners. The man's got a line to block the damn world, and he can do whatever he needs to.
But that's the point I'm making. The point I'm making is all those pieces put together makes a solid player. When you don't have that, so let's say he didn't have that line. Let's say Samuel wasn't there. Would he be as great? I'm not saying he wouldn't be great. You know, take what I'm saying for granted. So, but would he be
I say yes. Yes.
Yeah.
You want to know why? Do you want to know why? You want to know why? Because when he was with the Panthers, because when he was with the Panthers, he had 1,000 yards receiving and 1,000 yards running.
When he was on the field, and if he wasn't, he was on the sideline because he was.
But you could say that with any player, though.
Yeah, you can, but that's the point I'm making.
So you're saying your concern is you're putting too much on him. He's going to get injured.
Yeah, if he didn't have all those other people that you were saying, would he still perform? Yes, but as soon as he get hurt, he's Christian McCaffrey of Christian McCaffrey. It is what it is.
It's the same.
I'm not downplaying him.
I'm just saying it's the same thing with Brandon Ayuk, and I get Brandon Ayuk. He's a great receiver, hands down. But I will say is that a lot of these receivers, they're panning it out and see who gets paid so they can top that receiver that got paid. That's all they're doing.
Absolutely.
So that's perfect that he said that because
you know we've said that.
It's going to pivot over to the other part of this question, Pete. So last week we talked about Tua and Trevor getting paid. Should they pay it? Max contracts, but we also discussed how are we paying these guys, right? Like, and the reason that came up was because when Joy was speaking on Speak, she said, well, Trevor should get the max contract. He should reset the market because he won one playoff game. And I said, there is no way in hell that you're going to tell me off one playoff game, you should reset the market. Now, Nikki is a Jags fan, and she spoke her truth last week, and she said, "Nah, he shouldn't get that. Like, I wouldn't pay him this year." So they were talking about Tua again, and they said, she's a Dolphins fan, so she's like, Tua's the franchise quarterback. That's what franchise quarterbacks do. They reset the market. She
said that about Trevor.
She also said about Tua. Do you feel, Pete, that they should be paying these quarterbacks based on like Nikki, or like Derek said, the last wide receiver got paid this, so I need to get paid this? Or do you feel they should get paid by accomplishments?
You're worth what somebody's willing to pay you. So if they're going to get what they can get, if that's what they're looking to do is be the highest paid quarterback, then that more power to them. It's a question of it takes two. Is the team willing to make them the highest paid quarterback? I think it should be off accomplishments, but I'll take it a step further. If Justin Jefferson is the best in the league, should anybody be paid higher than him? Well, that depends on who's up next. Jamar Chase is going to want to be the highest paid. Does anybody consider him the best receiver in the league? Probably not. Same thing with CeeDee Lamb. But with Tua and Trevor Lawrence, yeah, they haven't set the world on fire. And a lot of fans are not going to want to pay them top dollar, going above Joe Burrow, going above Mahomes. But this is their livelihood. They're going to want that. Whether they get it or not, it's up to them. It's if they ask for that, and it's up to the team as well. And especially the situation, can they afford to make that quarterback the highest paid?
So the thing with that, and I'm glad you brought up the Jay Jettas, because when watching Speak, Shady was like, what about these running backs that like just Josh Jacobs over 1,000 yards rushing and not getting offered nothing? He was like, he mentioned somebody else that didn't even get a call from the team to offer him a contract. why is it the quarterbacks get to reset the market at such a high value? And I understand the position they play. But if you take Saquon Barkley, if it wasn't for him, did Daniel Jones have that good year that got him paid? You know what I'm saying?
No.
If you look at some of these running backs, even wide receivers, if it wasn't for that, sometimes these assist players, if you want to call them that, right, make the quarterback look outstanding. Let's take Brock Purdy and put him on the Panthers or put him on the Patriots. Is he as nice as he is on the 49ers? If you take name was somebody else too. I just had a brain fart. Like they said, what's Tua without Waddle and Tyreek? Nobody.
I'd have to differ on that one because Tua has proven without certain people, Tyreek, Waddle, he can still play if he doesn't get injured himself. One thing he's had a problem with is his O-line, and that's why he's gotten hurt and not been able to do what he needed to do. So some things not being kind of like addressed at some point, it's kind of cost him to get hurt. So now, if we're going to talk about if we're going to compare Trevor Lawrence and Tua, we're going to look at the more established quarterback here. I'll give Trevor Lawrence his first year because he had Dum over there that decided he wanted to come back to the NFL and completely just, God bless, Lord help us all. Yeah, no, that was terrible. But his second year, he did pretty well. His third year, he looked like ass. And he had the same coach, the same coaching staff, the same line, pretty much everything, down to nitty gritty. And yet he couldn't do anything he needed to. He had more interceptions. He had less throwing yards, and he couldn't complete. And he also had more. If you want to think about it, he had more when it comes to everything else because he had better receivers, a better line, everything, better defense. And yet he couldn't establish himself to become one of those top tier quarterbacks. He's Trevor Lawrence. He still threw 15, 16 interceptions.
He ain't have on it. Don't talk about Trevor.
I'll be right back. Hold on.
He ain't have on it.
Hello, beautiful.
No, I'm gonna wait. What's his name, Pete? What's his name?
That's Derek. Pete is up top.
Pete, you safe with me. Wait for Derek ass to come back.
What, he said Trevor had wide receivers?
You asking me?
Yeah, well, he said that set you off.
Everything.
Oh.
Everything.
I think
I had a question for Derek, bro.
He's getting his daughter.
I could pose it to everybody because Derek was saying all these phenomenal things about Tua and nothing against Tua. I don't dislike the man, right? Okay, if you had a choice between Tua or Joe Burrow, who you choosing? Because Joe don't have a line either.
Well, I'm going Joe. But
why? Why? He talked so highly about Tua, and Tua didn't have this, and Tua don't have that, and Tua, the same thing Joe Burrow didn't have. He don't got a good line.
No.
But Joe was a whole lot more successful.
Because Joe is him.
Every day we was praying that, Lord, don't let Tua, Lord Jesus, don't let Tua.
Going back to that and getting paid, right, real quick until Derek gets back in the car. Again, these players, why is it that the quarterback gets paid way more when we know that, hey, unless you Patrick Mahomes this last Super Bowl, that you want to
know why?
With average receivers,
because the skipper gets paid more than his whole crew. But the skipper can't do shit without his crew. It is what it is. His position. Positional authority affords you more than what you might have to put out. It is what it is.
That's true. So that's where I was at, Pete. It was just like the whole situation with
Now you seen it.
How you call that? The quarterback. I just don't know, man. Like I don't agree with it getting paid because because you reset the market, right? I should now reset the market, but I might not be as valuable as you. And I think that's what these teams are holding off on now. Like you take Dak Prescott, right? Who is trying to get his second contract. or third, right? Second after second. And you got CeeDee Lamb standing there like, hold on, I want to get paid. What's that look like if you pay Dak, but you don't pay CeeDee Lamb?
They gotta pay CD.
I muted you. There was noise in the background. I muted you, so you got to unmute. Yeah, you got to unmute. I had muted it because there was noise in the background.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna pay Dak before they pay CD Lamb because they have gotten multiple contracts with Dak. They've gotten multiple things done for Dak, and yet Dak still can't prove that he's worth anything other than a first-round playoff to lose to.
So, okay. So do you think CeeDee Lamb should get paid Jay Jettas?
I think CD Lamb should get paid good, but I don't think he should get paid Jay Jettas. I don't think he should get paid
See,
who's the other receiver that Amon St. Brown.
Yeah.
I think he's between Amon St. Brown and Devontae Smith. So because you cannot tell me that Devontae Smith is not just as good as a receiver as, and I'm not saying that just because I'm an Eagles fan, but I look at play stats wise and everything that man does for his team and this, that, or the other. Devontae Smith does the same thing that CeeDee Lamb does at the end of the day.
Okay.
Because he plays the slot, he can play the outside, he can do pretty much everything, right? He can do the long ball, short ball, mid ball, whatever. AJ Brown's going to be our long ball guy most of the time. So we really don't have to worry about that. But if I'm comparing my secondary receiver to your first string, like your first top tier receiver, that should tell you a lot.
They're not Billy James because I'm going to cuss your ass out.
So
I'm going to cuss you out.
Down this list. I was watching NFL. I was actually on the NFL app looking at the news, right? And I saw something that I thought was interesting. I'm trying to see if I find it because I didn't save it. Damn, man. It was the make or break. They had, okay, here it goes. They had candidates had like this, like their make or break year, right? So the first one on the list was T. Higgins. Second was Tua. Third was Dak Prescott. Fourth was Watson. Fifth was Daniel Jones. Sixth was Chase Young. 7, Najee Harris, and 8 was Budda Baker. This is like their 8 players that they think this is a make or break year. If you had to not give me 8, but if you had to give me a player or two that you felt is their make or break year and why, I'm gonna go with you first, Pete. Which one would you go with?
They say T. Higgins, because T. Higgins is right now, they franchise tagged him, and it sucks for him because Jamar Chase is up as well. Jefferson just got paid, and they both went to LSU. They kind of got they got a very similar career path. He got his college quarterback with him though, so that kind of helps him out. But as far as resetting the market, Jamar Chase is going to want to be the highest paid. He's going to want to be. Now, is he as good as this guy, Jefferson? I don't think so. But going back to who needs to make a break, it's T. Higgins, because he wants to get that contract too, but he's kind of being held back because Chase is a priority and he's on the franchise tag. So don't know if he holds out or not. So it definitely is a make or break, because if they let him walk, then he's going to need a good year to get a good contract from another team. So T. Higgins for me.
June, who you got at make or break year and why?
It's tough, man.
And it could be anybody or just out of your list.
Anybody.
It's tough, man, but I'm gonna go with Baker Mayfield. I think he positioned himself. I mean, look at CMC. He got the extension, right? So he positioned himself to execute another extension at the end of this year, and make himself a little bit more valuable than what he already is based on last year's success. So I'm gonna go with Baker, man. I think it's a make or break, because was it a fluke last year, or was it that contract that he earned?
Okay. Nikki, who you got? Make or break year.
I don't know. I think it's so many people. I don't know. I have to think.
I'm gonna go. I'll come back to you. Derek, who you got? Make or break year.
Off the list or off of anybody?
Anybody. I just gave you
Anybody.
Talking.
All right. So off of what I would say is a make or break year, Daniel Jones, hands down. The man just got paid $40 million a year for 3 years in a row. For the next 3 years. I look at it like this. It's either gonna. I actually have two, if you don't mind. I'll say Daniel Jones and Russell Wilson. Daniel Jones because he just got paid, and now he doesn't have Saquon to bail him out on anything now. So at the end of the day, it's going to show if he's actually a really decent quarterback or if he's just an average quarterback that got lucky and got his money. They've already talked about drafting a quarterback next year. The quarterback class next year is going to be phenomenal, from what they've said and what they're looking at and how everybody's saying. I mean, you got Deion Sanders son coming out, Shadur Sanders. You got a bunch of these the guy from Notre Dame. He's a monster. They're talking about all these quarterbacks that they have to potentially go in the first round. So if the Giants don't do good this year, they're getting rid of him. He's gone. They'll eat that cap. They've already ate three head coaches already. They could care less. So, and then Russell Wilson, because Russell Wilson, they had all this hype around him because he was supposed to be something amazing for the Denver Broncos, and he turned out to be complete garbage. He got benched midway through the season last year.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely say them two for sure. I think they've got a lot to prove this year, and I'll say if they don't, it's gonna be to the curb for them. And I think that'll be the end of Russell Wilson, and I think that's why they went and got Justin Fields as well, because they got a future quarterback that they know they can mold.
I'm gonna get back to that Russell Wilson and Justin Fields stuff that I've been seeing and hearing. Pete, you wanted to say something when he was talking about Daniel Jones or no?
No, I didn't. I like the Russell Wilson one. The Daniel Jones is next year they can cut him without as much cap hit as this year. This year that's why he's on the team, because they couldn't cut him because of the cap. Next year they can cut him.
Yep.
Is it a make? I don't say it's a make or break for him. I don't agree with that because he got his guaranteed money already. So if he's gone, it's really no sweat off the Giants' back. I like the Russell Wilson more than the Daniel Jones.
You finally found your make or break player?
Yeah.
Nah.
You said what?
Nah.
Right. Well, for me, I like all of them. Honestly, I think T. Higgins is a good one because I feel like if he balls out this year on that franchise tag, another team is going to pay him. So like, just think about it. They can ball out, let's say win a Super Bowl, stop Mahomes from going back and win one. He pretty much can write his ticket. We've seen other mediocre players write their ticket after winning a Super Bowl and going to another team and getting the bag. So I think T. Higgins is good. June, the Baker Mayfield, I like as well because I feel like Baker don't get the credit. And every time they bring him up, they'll say, oh, he's been like on 4 or 5 different teams, but nobody ever talks about what he had to go through in the Browns and where he took the Browns to from where they were at.
That part.
You know, it's like I was watching something when they on Speak, they said coaching matters, right? Goff under Fisher was horrible, but under McVay went to a Super Bowl. This year was literally a few plays away from going back to the Super Bowl. So I do believe coaching does matter. I believe some players don't need it. Like, I don't think Patrick Mahomes need Andy Reid, but there's some players that need good coaching, mentorship, and guidance to get them to the next level. So I would love to see Baker.
1 second, baby.
The Russell one I'm liking because I want to see Russell Ball to get the respect that he deserves. You know, a lot of people talk about he's not all that, he's not this, his Hall of Fame is in question now, all this good stuff. And like I agree with Pete with the Daniel Jones. I mean, he got look, Daniel Jones know he got lucky. He got that guaranteed money. You know what I'm saying? He scanned him. He knows what's up. He's like, man, listen, that's like a chick that made chicken one time and you liked it, you wifed her up, knowing she can't cook. She just got over on you. For the rest of life, you stuck with her. Nah, but so just going back to the Russell Wilson and Justin Fields situation, I'm gonna go with Pete. You think Russell's gonna start the whole year, or you think they're benching him?
That's why I like the make or break for Russell, because like you said, he had high hopes in Denver. He flamed out over there. So this is kind of like, I wouldn't say it's his last chance, because somebody will quarterback that everybody's desperate to get that position right. And if Russell Wilson's on the market next year, he's gonna get a job. But do I think he's gonna start the whole year? I'm gonna say no.
Not to go over somebody else's turn, but I think the Russell Wilson situation is so unique. And I say unique because the man got guaranteed money already, right? Mm-hmm. And this is where I'm going with this, if you follow me. Russell Wilson has a good heart, right? I can't sit here and say all these other players do, I don't know him, but the way that he's exposed himself out there, he has a good heart. He's not problematic. He's not a drama queen. But he got
drama queen last year.
But he got paid, right? And this is where I'm going with this. At this point, does Russell Wilson know what he wants to do next year? And is he in it to help the success of Justin Fields? Because if that's the case, then no, he won't start all year. And this could be his last year in the NFL. My man got paid. He doesn't need to seek another contract.
I'm gonna piggyback off June on that one, because that's where I feel like if he isn't solid this year, if he doesn't do everything he needs to, he may do what Pete says, get another shot or whatever somewhere in some team. But I don't think it'll be as a starting quarterback. He might be a good backup. He might be somebody they lean on just in case anything happens to their starter. But as far as like starting and becoming the franchise face again, no, it's never gonna happen. I just don't see it. If he doesn't do good for the Steelers, they're gonna see that for the last two teams, other than the main team he was on, which was the Seahawks, they're gonna look at him and be like, he's washed, he's done. Yeah, so that's where I feel like the Steelers in the end won, because
the Broncos. He did have some success with the Broncos. It probably wasn't at the same caliber when he was with the Seahawks, but he did well. The chemistry just wasn't there. But he wasn't a bust with the Broncos.
I'll tell you like this: if Sean Payton, the man who had Drew Brees, somebody who nobody believed in, and took him to the Super Bowl and won it. If you're already a high tier quarterback and you're not playing at that same high tier, and they're looking at you like, we just traded all this crap for you to do this. Well, they gave the whole team.
I think with the Sean Payton and Russell, Russell wasn't his man, and he got there.
I agree.
Very disrespectful.
He got there.
They didn't have a good work relationship.
And he got there. Remember, Russell had his own office, all this other stuff. And Sean Payton didn't like that. Sean Payton's old school. Sean Payton is, you might be the quarterback, but guess what? You a regular player like everybody else. You don't get an office. He had good numbers last year because right around the season, Nikki, final night, me and Brother Cruz and your man's in him, I forgot his name, that's in Tennessee. Well, we was talking all about how the numbers. Curtis. And I said, yo, if you take Russell's numbers, if I put A and B and I took the name face away, you won't know the difference. It was actually both of them, they were both comparable. The difference is you're in one team you're winning and you're having great success. The other team you're struggling. But he also beat the Chiefs.
Yep.
That game was like, wait a minute. You know what
I'm saying?
Is this the that we just said was Kaka?
I think the Denver stint was horrible for him. But I also feel that Sean Payton didn't want him there. And Sean Payton knew what he was doing. He benched him. He started Stidham and all these guys he was already looking at, what am I going to deal with when I get rid of this guy? He was gone the minute that Sean Payton got there. Sean Payton just wasn't wasn't being honest with the world and saying, yo, he's gone.
No, he was. No, he was. Because every time he was in front of the media, it was bash, 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 bash. I mean, the writing was already on the wall. You just had to wait for the season to be over.
I think, and you know what's crazy? You brought up Drew Brees, but like they said, what has Sean Payton done since Drew Brees left? He was still in the Saints. It's kind of like, you know, Belichick without Brady.
Drew almost waited too long to leave himself. If you want to be truthful, So
I just feel like Russell. If Russell doesn't do anything right for the Steelers, like if he goes out there and he looks like the same Russell that when he first started with the Broncos and they just weren't doing what they needed to, if the chemistry is not there, I just feel like Russ is going to be put on the back burner. They're going to take Fields. They're going to see what this man can do right here. They traded a 6th-round pick for him for nothing. They got him for nothing. Now he goes out there and balls out and does what he needs to do and has all this chemistry with all these with the players and doing everything. I'm telling you, I see Russell Wilson getting for done. I feel like you've got 5 games. I feel like they'll give Russell 5 games. If Russell doesn't get if he doesn't win at least 3 of those 5 games, they're gonna bench him.
Yeah.
Well, you know one thing though, Frank, not to cut you off, Frank. Russell's gonna do well based on the leadership that's established in Pittsburgh.
He gonna do fine. I ain't worried about Russ.
I tell you right now.
Also giving too much to Justin Fields. I mean, I'm not trying to talk bad about the young man, but he still got a lot of development to do. You get what I'm saying? Like, and I think he might be in a good place to develop, but regardless of how great or not great, and this is gonna be hard for me to say because I do feel this way, but I don't in a sense. But regardless of how great or not great, I don't think Justin Fields would take them any further than Russell Wilson would. That's
the gauntlet that they face in the second half of the season is not made for a quarterback that can struggle like Justin Fields. I think that if you're going to try to make a run to maintain your precious winning season record, because that's all it is. You haven't won a playoff game in over 6, 7, 8 years. So again, like we talk about what you're playing for.
Next week, okay.
I think you need to leave Russell in there because at least Russell has experience. And because they played the Ravens twice, the Bengals twice, two more NFC teams. Their last 8 games of the season is the toughest thing you've seen. That's why I think they're number 2 or number 3 in the toughest schedule. Or number.
I agree to a point, like where it's like the experience wise, but I also look at it this. We watched Justin Fields play for the Bears.
Yeah.
Bears.
They turned around and got rid of their quarterback and blamed it all on him when the entire thing was not on him because they had no O-line.
No, you're right.
It's Michael. I look at it like this. Justin Fields with the Bears is Michael Vick with the Falcons.
But they went to NFC Championship.
Yeah, because of Michael Vick being able to do every damn thing.
Yeah. Remember that year, every play in the Atlanta Falcons playbook was a quarterback sneak. He was the chief.
That's what I'm saying. But they built their line up to where they could do something like that. Justin Fields has never had that. Now him playing with the Steelers, that's apples to oranges there.
That's true. That's true too. The last thing I want to kind of mention, Chiefs had an on the field medical emergency. One of their players went in cardiac arrest. They canceled all OTAs and stuff like that. And me and Nikki was talking about this earlier, and I kind of compared it to with the Navy, right? When we get promoted for chief for E7, none of us, like a lot of people ain't been working out. All of a sudden you go out there and you get initiated and they expect you to run 4 or 5 miles in formation and people start passing out and having cardiac arrest. It's happened actually in the Navy. And we stopped training until everybody gets, physicals and stuff like that again. They have physicals, they do. Pete, do you think you're going to see more? You think there's going to be more things, or you think this is just a one-off this year?
Well, I don't know if you guys remember, like there was a guy in the Vikings years ago, Corey Stringer. He actually died from practice in I don't know if it was OTAs, it was training camp. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I know he did pass away for something similar that just happened recently with Kansas City. But this goes to my belief that all stadiums should be domes and all practice fields they should not be practicing football in this heat with all that equipment on. So they should be in the dome, in those practice domes, and you won't see this anymore.
So you saying instead of having not saying every stadium should be a dome to play in, just the practice facilities should be indoors, not outdoors.
Be in a minute, baby.
No, don't. I always say that everything should be a dome anyway. But practice as well. Like I said, you practicing in this heat even if they don't got pads on, they're wearing a helmet.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's in this heat. I don't know what there was in Kansas City, so it's the weather's iffy. But I would definitely not. I hope not that this doesn't happen again. But that just goes to my belief that all these teams should practice in controlled environments.
June?
Yeah, I agree with Pete. These organizations, they have more than enough money to build a nice little cheap warehouse, put a couple of AC units on the top, and call that practice facility for conditions not just for the heat, man. Also for the cold and also for extreme weather. So that way we eliminate the excuses and we could see the players get better safely.
All right. Derek?
I mean, they got all this money to build all these nice little things that they have, like the new stadiums, the new what's it called? Stuff that they've been building on the outside for like merchandise and all that. Why don't you got enough money to build like a little a practice stadium where it's like enclosed and stuff like that? I mean, you got all these owners that they have all this money. They basically pay like, okay, like we got the Daniel Jones situation. Say he doesn't work out, right? They just paid him $40 million a year, 3 years for was $100 million, give or take. You're looking at like if they cut him next year, they're gonna eat that money. Why? Okay, you're wasting money on a guy, but you can't take care of your people too. So that's kind of how I feel on that one.
I don't agree with every stand being dome. I like them playing outside because remind me of old school football. But practice facilities, I agree. Maybe dome. Nikki, what you got?
I don't know. I think we need to just look more into what is going on. I don't know. I think it's just, for me, it's like I don't want to say it's happening so frequent that it makes me question what the players are doing on their off time. But I think we need to look more into that. And I do agree. Like these owners are making, because every time I gotta buy a ticket to go into the motherfucking stadium, and I look and I'm like, this motherfucker is sitting right on my lap. I know they making money. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on now. Like, protect your investment. Like, put a little bit more into your investment instead of just putting more into, the stadium itself, right? Like, this is where they're practicing. Like, these are your money makers. So I do agree there, but I think there's more to it than that. Because having a seizure and then going to cardiac arrest is a little bit on the player himself. So I don't know.
I agree. Or make sure the physicals are there. A lot of these guys get signed off to play. Teams don't want to lose money. You see it in college, you see it in high school, you see all these different levels where they want their star players to play, they waive grades, they do a lot of different things. So why not the physicals? But that's all I got for today, man. Nothing really happened that was worth going. I want to open the room and let everybody say their closing remarks. I'm gonna start with Derek. Derek, you are a guest. So closing remarks before we move on.
Just basically with everything that's been going on and everything, I mean, I just think there's a lot of things that's going to be different about this year. I think that there's going to be a lot of new faces that we're going to see a lot of places. Like I'm excited. Like being a Philly fan, I'm excited to see what kind of Barkley we get. Do we get injured Barkley, or do we get, good Barkley with 1,000 yards, stuff like that? See how Aaron Rodgers is going to do this year. A lot of teams that are starting over, like the Vikings. I think it's going to be a good year. I want to see how these chemistries go.
Hey, Pete.
So,
Yo, good to be back, man. It's been a minute, but good to see everybody. But yeah, see y'all next week, man.
June 1st, then Nikki. You know what I'm saying? Because she's the guest, so we're gonna let her go after June. Go ahead, June.
Hey, happy to be back here. It's crazy as it sounds. This is the first time that I've done a podcast with the second person right next to me. And it's a little weird, but it's cool. So Frank, next time you in Claremont, I'm en route.
Oh, we need to So I'll get to that after Nikki go. Go ahead, Nikki.
Listen, it's always a pleasure. Sorry, this is not my thing. Nah, I'm happy to be here. My first time in June's area, and I felt comfortable. So
Because all the Eagles surround her.
No, slow down.
Slow
down. So hard to breathe in here. The air quality wasn't great. Okay, I was trying to be nice. But thanks for allowing me to jump on, because I had to go say hi to the family. I was like, hold on, I gotta get on the podcast.
Yeah.
They needed me.
I do appreciate y'all for letting me come in. I'd love to come back if you guys will have me. I do appreciate all that.
Let you know, man. Next time we because sometimes it gets like that. We lose a person here and there, so we need to be.
Yeah.
But going back to June, Claremont, like Dwell said, man, let them know we can plan it. You know what I'm saying? He come down. We're not gonna probably be in my mama's house because he was talking about doing it somewhere else. So well, you never know. I got the equipment. It'll work. I got wireless mics and all. So anyway, man, join us this week. Another episode with us. See you guys next Thursday. Frank presents the play call. Also, the Bree Network. We support her and Frank's unsolicited advice. Let's tune in to all that. Share, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Later.